Welcome to Give a Heck. I am your host, Dwight Heck, and for much of my life, lived my life in quiet desperation, wondering how I was going to pay the bills, take vacations, save for retirement, and one day wondering if I would get off the hamster wheel of life and have purpose. A life that most of society lives, which takes us to work, then home, then repeat, and pays us hopefully enough just to survive. The harsh truth that most live with more month than money and have no idea how to live life on purpose, not by accident. This ensures the mass majority are living not just financially broke, however emotionally and mentally as well due to financial pressures. In each episode, I will introduce you to thoughts, ideas, and guests that can help you to learn how you too can live life on purpose, not by accident.
Hi, this is Dwight Heck of Give a Heck Podcast. I just wanted to tell you a little bit of my origin story and exactly how I came about to this point of having the Give a Heck podcast. I was, born 53 years ago in a small farming community outside of the capital city of Edmonton in Alberta, Canada. The community was around 12,000 people and, had some health issues and struggled throughout my life with asthma and allergies, being bullied, and, just basically living a life of frustration and health issues, so much so that, I resented going to school. I was not a big fan of, people in general, and I became very introverted, and I hung out in my house a lot, and I did do things. I had sports that I was involved in, kept myself busy, but my asthma and my allergies got to a point that I ended up having to quit sports around 13, 14 years of age. I did hockey and played baseball and had to quit them both because back then they didn't have what they have today for people with asthma and allergies. There's no such thing as a rescue inhaler. There was no such thing as allergy pills. They did have things where you could go and they'd put a concoction together, and once a week I'd go get allergy shots to try to alleviate some of the symptoms and problems I went through with my allergies. But it really didn't work properly. I got involved in other things. I joined a military civilian driven club called Cadets, and basically it taught me discipline. It taught me the ability to reach out of my comfort zone. And before I quit doing that, I was in that for about 2-3 years. I quit doing that because of, again, health issues, unfortunately. But I got to a position of corporal, and part of that process was we had to do drills. We had to work with the squad and actually be the leader out front, running them through drills. And it taught me a lot being part of Air Cadets about the structure and discipline and how come it's so important for people to learn how to work in unison as a team. One of the things I enjoyed the most about Air Cadets was shooting. We actually got to shoot as part of our training and stuff. We had the ability to go out and shoot shotguns at clay targets, like clay pigeons. And we got to go also into the shooting range and shoot rifles, as well as once in a while we got to shoot handguns with military instructors. And I really quite enjoyed that, so much so that I went after hours. Once a week they'd have an open session at the range where you could go, and when my parents could, they dropped me off and I'd go and shoot, and I quite enjoyed that. One of the things I didn't like about Air Cadets was band. Was not good with the trumpet. I was not good with the bugle, whatever you want to call it, and doing reveille was not my thing, and I eventually quit that in a very short fashion. But Air Cadets taught me that structure and discipline is important. So besides that, I also, because I realized I'd already quit baseball and hockey, it was just too hard for me to do. Again, without rescue inhalers, I'd have asthma attacks and I'd be out of the count. So end result, I had to find things that weren't too physically exerting that I could get good at. And I joined a youth bowling league. May sound silly, but at that point in time, I'd also been diagnosed with a rare, debilitating, degenerative spine disease called scoliosis, and was going through all the trials and tribulations of that and how I was going to deal with that, going through specialists, having my parents try to help me figure out exactly what I was going to do in regards to treatment for it. Remember, I'm 14 years of age, not really understanding, what are my options, trying to understand once I did get options, which were the better ones. And my parents let me make the decision. And for 3 years of my life, from junior high, or some people will call it middle school, till high school, till grade 11, I wore a back brace, a full cage back brace. For those of you that are listening, I had a bar that went up from the middle, a cage that went around my neck, 2 bars down the back, and it basically immobilized me so that I would grow straight, because I won't get into the details of it, but scoliosis is a curvature of the spine, and as you get older, it continues to degenerate and gets worse. And I wanted to do things, so I got involved in a local bowling league, and I learned how to bowl with this brace on, if you can imagine, and helped, was one of the factors of our team doing very well. I got to be very good at bowling with that brace on, and we made it to tournaments. We won trophies, and as well as I had personal accolades as well for bowling. And I did that for quite a few years, and I quite enjoyed it. But meanwhile, fast forward to the fact, high school was a little bit challenging with health issues. I still got bullied because of my health issues, but it was something that I had to learn to get past, and I became a computer nerd. I got into working on computers in the lab and programming, and I had a specific group of friends and people that I associated and hung out with, and I tried to avoid, obviously, the bullies as best I could. And as I got, end of grade 11, I grew like 6-7 inches all in 1 year. All of a sudden, I wasn't that small, scrawny little kid anymore, and people pretty much left me alone in the later part of high school. So once high school was over, I was still having my health issues. Rescue inhalers were just starting to become something that you could get a hold of, but they weren't really prevalent out in society. So I ended up, though I was a tenacious kid, and I didn't ever want to give up on the things that I wanted to do, and I didn't want health to be the thing that held me back. So basically, I got offered a couple job opportunities. One of them I had to work really hard at because I really wanted to work at the pet store in the local mall. Meanwhile, up to that time, I'd also been working for my dad and working in the back of his shop, and helping out the mechanics, pushing tools, sweeping floors. Meanwhile, realizing that I have allergies and asthma, I'd get sick. But my dad always pushed me to, never give up and figure out ways around things. So I did. I did what I had to do. And eventually I started working for him full time in the summers. By the time I was approximately 14, prior to that, I would work and help him out once in a while, but I wasn't there full time and engaged during the summers. So I did that right up to, again, graduating high school. I still worked for him in the summers, but then on top of that, I decided to go to college in my hometown, to the university there, and I really wanted to work the pet store. Knew the pet store owner really well, bugged him until he finally decided to hire me. And little did he know that I was allergic to birds, I'm allergic to cats, but I didn't care. I always wanted to work in the pet store, so he hired me, and I worked there. It was a great part-time job, and come spring of that next year after I graduated, I was looking for some other work on top of that before starting to work, for my dad full-time in the summer. I started doing landscaping, yard work, yard maintenance. Guess what that's all involving? Lots of dust, lots of grass mold. But I didn't care. I was the only guy on the two different crews that wore a full mask. The mask, was one of those ones that seals right around your nose that you use for working out in dusty conditions. And it would be hot and blistery out, but it didn't matter. I still did it. I did it because I didn't believe that anything should be able to, hold me back, obviously within reason. So I continued to do that, worked at the pet store, worked for my dad. And, I grew up with health issues, but I didn't let it define me. And I just kept on pushing forward. From being asthmatic to having allergies to being diagnosed with, a debilitating degenerative disease like scoliosis. I never let it slow me down, and I just kept on pushing forward. So, when you look at all the different things that I've accomplished in my, life, I look back at where did it all start? What was the first thing that started me on my entrepreneur journey? Well, when I look back, the first thing that started me on that entrepreneur journey was being a paper boy. Started that at around 12 years of age, did that for a few years. Taught me how to never give up. Taught me to be tenacious, because I live in Alberta, live in Canada. We get all four seasons, and it's constantly, it can be rain, sleet, snow, super hot out, super cold out, and you had to do whatever you needed to do. People wanted their papers. So it taught me to be resilient and toughened me up. Even with my health issues, I still had to go out and do whatever it took to get those papers delivered. And on top of that, it also taught me how to be good with money. I had to go and actually collect money from the clients. I had to learn how to budget because I had to pay for my papers, and I had to collect that money. And if I couldn't get a hold of somebody, the paper didn't care. I had to pay them regardless for the papers that I had dropped off to go for delivery. So I had to pay them once a week for the papers. And, my kindness, was also a fault too, because I'd give people a chance, and there would be people that wouldn't pay me. I'd ring the doorbell and I'd see the curtain go back and they'd look out of the corner and didn't pay me. Kind of jerkish of people to do, especially since I was a young kid, 12, 13 years of age. And I was such a kind kid that, I'd still deliver their papers. And sometimes, people would owe me for 2-3 months. And eventually I got to a point, as I did it longer, I'd cut people off. I would not give them the paper anymore. But meanwhile, I could be out, whatever, let's say $30, $40 that I had to pay out, and they got free newspapers off me all those months. But it did teach me a lot. Again, it taught me how to budget to ensure I had enough money to pay the newspaper, and then understanding what the difference was my money to spend. And I had to, at a very young age, I think I was 12 or 13, somewhere around there, when I got my first checking account, because I had to be able to write checks. That was the only way the newspaper would allow me to pay for the papers. And I'd get checks as well from the actual clients, the people I was delivering papers to. So it taught me how to, handle money. It was a great lesson. Taught me how to be tenacious, taught me how to be tough mentally and physically. Again, health issues did not stop me. I went out and I delivered the paper. I got the job done, and it taught me a lot. So fast forward to, past working at the pet store, past working on, for my father, or doing the landscaping, yard maintenance work. I ended up deciding I wanted to, I was good with electronics. I was good with computers, and I became a computer consultant. And, I won't get into much of the details of that, but I ended up having some major health issues in September of 2001, the year that the Twin Towers came down. Right around that time, I ended up having some major health issues, and I had to sit back, and after the 3 months of not being able to work because of those health issues, you know, try to figure out what else that I want to do. My doctor and the specialists were telling me I needed to change careers because that career was causing me a lot of stress, and that stress led up to me having that health issue. So in approximately February of 2002, I had a friend reach out to me and said, you know what? You're a very, very tenacious person. You're really good with people. You're good at building relationships. And, I know you're looking at possibly changing careers. How about you look at a career in finance and insurance, right? We can coach you, teach you how to do it and how to help others. And meanwhile, you can use it first and foremost, to get your own life together. And, are you interested? And, I thought to myself, well, yeah, I'm kind of interested. He says, well, we could get you started. And I said, well, I need to learn more. And right now I'm in the middle of a contract and I need to finish off some things, possibly look at starting in the fall, but let's find out more. So within a couple weeks, he sent somebody to my house and they sat down and explained to me exactly what it is I would be getting involved with and what effort I had to put in. And part of that effort was getting licensed. You had to be, licensed by the regulators to actually be able to go out and do financial services and or sell insurance or do both. So I told him I was going to have to wait and I'd reach out to him. He stayed in touch with me, but I pretty much told him, I know what, I'll get a hold of you when I'm ready. And I got a hold of him in the fall, or pardon me, not the fall, in the summer of 2002, approximately July, and said to him, what do I need to do? What are the next steps? He says, well, you need to study these books, come and get them, and once you're done studying, you apply and you can go write the provincial exam. For some of you that are in the U.S., state exam, whatever the case may be. And I said to him, well, I'm going to grab the book. And this was a Thursday. And I said, when's the next time I can write? He says, well, you have to call, you have to apply, you got to pay a fee, and you can write on Monday, as they write every Monday. And he didn't say I could write Monday. He says, they write every Monday. And I said to him, well, you know what? I'm going to write on Monday. He says, you'll never be able to do it. I said, sure I can. Because to me, when somebody told me that I couldn't do something, it just fired me up, because I grew up my whole life being told I couldn't do anything because, do certain things because of my health. So I got the book, had 4 of the 5 kids at my house that weekend, all weekend. Remember, I'm a single dad at this point in time, though I still had joint custody with their mom. And it was my weekend. I got the books. They were like super huge, thick. For those that are just listening and not watching this, one book alone was probably about 4 inches thick. And I started studying on that Friday night, dropped them off at their mom's on Sunday night, studied all Sunday night without going to bed, got up Monday, went and wrote and passed that exam. Why? Because I don't take, things lightly. I'm a tenacious person. I want to learn what I want to learn, and don't you dare tell me that I can't do something. And I still remember walking into that office, that finance brokerage, and saying, look at this, I passed. And they were totally dumbfounded and shocked, because they'd never heard of anybody ever doing that. And again, I'm not patting myself on the back or expecting others to do that. All I'm saying is that sometimes in life, in order to give a heck, you have to give a heck about yourself and believe in yourself and fight to prove people wrong for how they label you. So that being said, I got licensed, and I've been in this industry now for 18 years. Fast forward to 2020, I was kind of in a funk. I'd been through a roller coaster ride the last 18 years. Been through a few different agencies where I've hung my shingle or, ran my business out of. And I wasn't happy at where I was at. And it was February 2020. I'm sitting on the couch, and all of a sudden, a group that I belong to, the 365 Entrepreneurs Group, a little notice popped up. And the founder of that group, Tony Watley, posted saying, hey, why don't you join the 365 Driven Society? Become one of the founding members. We're going to have some courses that you can access for free that'll help you on branding. It'll help you on, different aspects of being an entrepreneur and being driven. And I don't know, I didn't even hesitate really. I just pulled out my credit card, I paid, and I joined the 365 Driven Society. Again, it's the paid group. The free group's the entrepreneurial group. And probably about a week after I joined, Tony gave us a challenge. And his challenge was, I want you guys for the next 31 days to do a video every single day and post it to social media. And, make it a few minutes long, talk about whatever, you think would interest others. It'll help you build an organic following of people. It'll help you become more comfortable in front of the camera, and it'll help you think on your feet. Well, think sitting down, I guess. But regardless of that, I started doing it. Day one, I did it. I recorded it. I deleted it, recorded. I did it a few times, posted it. Had the big sweat pockets under the arms and, perspiration on my bald head and it just, dry mouth. It was scary. But then the next day, somebody posted in the closed group, in the society group, saying the best way to do it, to get over your fears, is do it live. And for some reason, I thought that was a condition, that I did it wrong, that I shouldn't have done it, recorded and posted it. Found out after the fact that it didn't matter. I could do it that way too. But I started day two doing it live. And a few weeks later, I started doing it live at the same time to Instagram. And now, as of today, 245 days later, I have not missed a day of doing live videos to Facebook and Instagram. Why do I tell you that? Because it actually saved my life, in the sense that this pandemic was depressing for myself and many people, and it drove me to reevaluate myself and give me something to look forward to every day and share my thoughts about exactly what was, what I was thinking about certain topics. It taught me to be a better listener because, one of the things that people have asked me is, how do you come up with topics? Well, I'll tell them, what? The associations of what I listen to, what I read, who I communicate with, I listen to them. I make sure what I'm reading, I'm actually intent on understanding what I'm exactly reading, or again, if it's a book I'm listening to on, let's say, a service like Audible, or I'm listening to somebody's podcast, I'm very intent on listening to what they're saying. And then I have a OneNote app on my phone. I have it on my tablet, my laptop, and if I think of something, I quickly write down the idea. Maybe it's something, again, I've heard from somebody else, but I learned to be a very good listener, and I still am working on that skill, but it has helped me a tremendous amount do my daily videos. Well, throughout my journey with the 365 Driven Society as well, we as a group help out aspiring entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs like myself that want to pivot, level up, and change their focus and direction. And I decided I wanted to change the name of my company, right? I won't get into the details of that. That'll come up in further podcasts and through some of the interviews that I'll be doing with others. You'll learn more about my journey, as well as the most important thing, you'll be learning the journey of what other people have gone through to get to where they're at, and how they pivoted and learned how to give a heck about themselves and about others, and continuing to push the envelope of what it is they're trying to achieve. So, I ended up rebranding myself, thanks to Tony, actually. We were looking at what the heck and many different other aspects of using my last name, which is legally Heck. And Tony messaged me one day after we had an earlier conversation through an interview he was doing on a podcast. We were able to ask a branding expert exactly what she thought of my name of my company, and she said it sucked, to put it in a nutshell. That maybe not her words. And Tony, within hours, messaged me, how about Give a Heck? And he had already looked up the domain name for me and said it was available. So I registered, got that domain name, and the rest is history. I ended up registering for the trademark for it, got the trade name in my country for Give a Heck, and again, registered for the trademark. Still waiting on that, but the registration's in for it. Decided to leave the company, the agency I was with, and start up my own associate general agency through a firm, which I applied for, got approved because with 18 years of experience, they were looking forward to it. So it gives me the ability to bring on agents and literally teach them how to do financial services properly, which means teaching them how to give a heck about others and not so be a person that's just product slanted. Well, I wanted to take that one step further. I decided that I wanted to create a portal where I could do, what I do for the last 18 years, helping people live life on purpose, not by accident, and, taking them through those steps where they learn how to, level up and change their life and how exactly they're living their lives. And yeah, so I ended up continually through this past year, since March, now I'm starting a podcast with encouragement, again, from people from 365 Driven and from Tony, that I maybe have a message that can change and help other people change, right? So I'm bringing on guests that will help you, understand that you too, with a little bit of effort, little baby steps, can live life on purpose, not by accident. And, it may sound hokey, it may sound difficult, but really it's not that hard. It's just a matter that you have to want it bad enough, and people such as myself can help you, right? So that's basically where I'm at. I'm also in the process of writing a book. Getting my website, again, is just gone live in the last 24 hours. A new version of the website's gone live, where it'll be a portal to you, taking you to my finance side, to my coaching side, to my podcast, because eventually I want to do what I'm doing on a local country level. I want to do it globally, because I can teach people how to actually goal set. I can teach them how to apply that goal setting. I can teach them, if they're suffering financially, how to live a life on purpose through a budget. And it doesn't matter where you live, I can help you. And I look forward to helping you. So that being said, I look forward to you, listening to my podcast. And if, you find value in it, I hope you subscribe. I hope after just listening to this that you want to subscribe to the podcast and you listen on a weekly basis and leave me comments, right? Give me a review. Tell me exactly, maybe there's things that you want to know. Maybe you've picked up on things and checked out my giveaheck.com website and have decided that maybe I can be that mentor for you. Maybe I can be that uplifting person to help you pivot and decide that you're tired of living on that hamster wheel of life. Go to work, go home, get paid. And maybe I can teach you how to pivot and live your life on purpose, not by accident. Have a fantastic day. I look forward to talking to you. In the next episode. God bless.
Thank you for taking time out of your day and listening to Give a Heck. If you find value, I'd appreciate you sharing with your friends and family so they too can learn how to live life on purpose, not by accident. So you do not miss the next episode, please subscribe on your favorite podcast platform, and please also post a review. I look forward to reading your comments. This has been Dwight Heck. If you want to check out other podcast episodes or today's show notes, please check out my website, giveaheck.com. And until next time, together let us all strive to give a heck.